If you ran ads for your clinic and they flopped, here's what probably happened. You gave your marketer a handful of videos, they ran them, they underperformed, and then you ultimately decided that ads just weren't for you. That's not a verdict. That's a low sample size. And so today I'm gonna walk you through a system of testing that will better improve the performance of your ads and ultimately give you more confidence as an advertiser in your own business. Because too many clinics have not failed enough to succeed. They just quite simply haven't tested enough ads in order to find the winning angles and hooks that are resonating with their ideal buyers. And so if you're new to the channel, welcome in. We're gonna talk to you all about direct response advertising, specifically in healthcare clinics. And we don't believe that there are any secrets around here, meaning that we don't think that you're gonna watch this video and all of a sudden make $100 million, okay? But we do believe that the lessons that we do share with you are gonna be pertinent to you mastering advertising in your own healthcare clinic. And so our promise to you is to share what's working right now in clinical advertising, specifically in paid media, by sharing the best practices and statistics that you need to monitor in your business. And if you're a returning viewer, we appreciate you being here. We know that you're here because you want to learn more about how to advertise your clinic at a deeper level, and we appreciate your discipline. Now today is going to be about winning ads and developing a testing strategy so that you can uncover the winners inside of your own business. And as I mentioned, some of you watching who have struggled with ads, you just quite simply have not failed enough to succeed. You gave it one attempt and you're like, man, it didn't work for me, and you called it a day. That is not what we do on this channel. We innovate. We look at the data and we do not get emotional. We just look at the data as the North Star and we make calculated decisions. So let's get into how to find winning ads and create winning ads in your own business. Now, before we get into the testing strategy, let's go through how to identify winning ads. Okay, so winning ads for your business are quite simple. They are an ad that has an LTV, lifetime value, greater than the CAC. Now, ideally, you want to have a substantially greater lifetime value than the CAC. Ideally like a 10 to 1 if you're really in scale mode. Okay, I've seen businesses that have even achieved like a 20 to 1 in terms of their lifetime value to customer acquisition cost ratio, okay? So the ad itself has to be looked at by the end metric, which is ultimately for the ad is CAC, okay, customer acquisition cost. Now in your business, you need to have a system that allows you to track the lead from click to close. And yes, there are ways to do that. If you're running ads on Meta, you can associate the user with the Meta ID, the ad ID, and then have that ad ID follow them throughout their whole journey so that you can ultimately know when somebody converts in your business, you can know, hey, this person came from this ad, here's how much I spent on this ad, here was the customer acquisition cost. And so winning ads are not necessarily the ads that produce the highest volume of leads. We talked about that in a previous video. A lot of you guys are getting a bunch of leads that are not doing shit for your business. You're not converting them, you're not getting a hold of them, they're not helping you make money. So a winning ad has to not only compare, yes, lead volume, but also the schedule rate, the show rate, the close rate, cash collected. That's how we really have to identify winners. So make sure before you go into super testing that you know your metrics, okay? What are you shooting for in terms of a CAC? What about your lead cost? What about your show rate? We talked in another video about how to increase show rates. That's a big one for clinics. What about the show rate? What about the pricing model? Okay, lay these things out before you start running ads. Otherwise, you're likely gonna bleed money, dude. You don't wanna do that. You wanna have your metrics laid out so that you know exactly what you're shooting for when you do launch the campaign. Now, assuming that you've got your metrics dialed in, you know what you're looking for in terms of customer acquisition cost, lead cost, show rate, conversion rate, you've got that all dialed in, you're ready to do some testing. Here's where to begin. Okay, in order to do any sort of testing with an ad, we do not give a shit about the platform or placements or anything like that out of the gates, okay? That's media buying. You're not ready for that yet. You need to focus on testing. When I say testing, I mean the message, okay? So when you're testing ads, you're looking specifically at the message. So when you begin, you start with the ideal patient. Now I'm gonna be using for this example, a functional medicine offer, okay? More importantly, high performance women with IBS. That's who we're gonna build this campaign for. Okay, so our ideal patient is a functional medicine avatar, but more importantly, it's a woman who's a lady who's high performance, and she ultimately believes that she has IBS. Okay, that is the broad label that the medical industry has given her in terms of the problems she's having in her digestive and inside of her gut. Okay, so that is our ideal patient. Next, we have to look at what are her problems. Okay, what are her problems? Well, the problems that she has are she constantly has fatigue, she gets bloated randomly, she struggles to get through the day without having to worry about where bathrooms are. She's been given this broad label of having IBS, which really doesn't mean anything to her because it's not like a true diagnosis. Those are some of the problems she's having, okay? Now, some of the circumstances, that's number 2, circumstances. Some of the circumstances that she is dealing with as a result of having those problems, okay? She, again, can't travel very far because she has to wonder where the bathroom is. She worries about her workday because if she eats something bad at lunch, it may throw off the rest of her afternoon because she can't focus with her stomach, okay? Those are some of the circumstances. She may also have to be concerned at her kids' sporting events on where the nearest restroom is because she never knows when she's gonna get a flare-up, right? So those are like the life circumstances that are the result of the problems that she's dealing with inside of her gut. Now the third thing is, outcomes. What are the outcomes she wants to achieve? So obviously, she wants to heal her gut. She wants to feel confident that her stomach's not gonna run her day. She doesn't want to have to worry about going to the bathroom when she's with her family, with her kids. She doesn't want to be labeled as somebody that has this IBS, this incurable disease, when in reality that she knows that there's something deeper. She just haven't been able to get that outcome yet, okay? But she wants it all. She wants to feel good. She wants to feel energetic, okay? This is the level of depth and much more. This is just a short YouTube video for this example, but this is the level of depth that you must go into when you're identifying who you are going to speak to in your ads. Because again, at the top of the video I mentioned that many of you have run ads, a few videos, and they flopped and you gave up. But my question to you is, did you truly go through and identify the ideal patient that you're trying to service? And did you write campaigns specifically to them? Because if you didn't do that, you missed the initial testing step. And now you know what to do. So you can go back to the drawing board and do it again so that you can get a better outcome next time, okay? So once we have begun with our ideal patient and labeled the problems, circumstances, and outcomes, then here's what we can do next. We can start to write ads. And more importantly, we can take the problems, circumstances, and outcomes and transform those into different angles of ads that we can then go out and test to see which ones resonate the most with our ideal patient. So here are some examples that we would use if we were targeting high-performance women that have IBS. Here are some legit examples. So here are some examples we would use if we were writing towards this ideal functional medicine avatar. We might write an ad with a hook that says, "Are you bloated by 4 p.m. in jeans that fit a year ago?" Okay, that's a signal of somebody that's struggling with their gut that may have IBS, which is the bloating. That's kind of the angle we're using there. Since this individual is also a high performance woman, now the second thing we might say as it relates to the high performance female is we might say, "You've figured it all out, minus your gut." So it's basically like you have the systems in place for work, you have the systems in place for your kids, you have the systems in place for your family, you're scheduled, you have your calendar, you're organized, but the one thing you can't figure out is your gut. And that resonates with a lot of women in this category because that's how they feel. Their gut runs their life while they feel in control of everything else, but the gut is still that linchpin. Now we might try, number 3, we might try more of a direct hook. If you're a woman with IBS, that might be the hook. If you're a woman struggling with IBS, super direct, that gets people's attention. People that have been labeled with that particular symptom and that particular condition rather, then they're gonna be like, that's for me, that is me. That's gonna get their attention. That's a direct hook. Now the fourth one that you could do, just as an example here today, and by the way, there's so many more than 4, but the other angle is labs normal. Okay, if I could actually write, labs normal, all right? that's a big thing for this avatar as well. They've gone to specialists. The specialist says their labs are normal. They can't figure out what's going on. So as a result, they just get frustrated because they feel like shit, but nobody can tell them what's wrong. And everybody else that they have talked to says, dude, you look totally fine. So that can be a big angle as well as somebody who hasn't gone through a full functional medicine protocol. They haven't done all the testing, the gut, the stool, the blood, the hair. They haven't done it all. So as a result, they haven't got to the root cause. So all of these lead and hook people in based on their problems, circumstances, and outcomes. And then we bridge the solution of functional medicine as the vehicle to get this individual the answers that they need. And so now that we have our angles laid out, we can actually go into the physical testing phase where we go into Meta or whatever platform you're using. We create a campaign. Okay, we then create an ad set. And then we run these ads. Okay, now I gave you 4 examples here today. Okay, if I'm in your shoes, depending on what you're spending, I'm probably gonna try to run like at least 6 angles out of the gate. If you're spending like significant money, you know, north of 10,000, maybe even 30,000 a month, you're gonna probably have to test like 15, okay? So you'll have to do a lot of testing. But what's cool is by finding and running these ads, all these ads are gonna get money put into them. You're gonna spend money on them. And then maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 are going to end up being the winners, okay? Now, I want to actually continue to talk about this because it used to be that people would just like run 1 ad at a time, and then ideally it would win, and if it didn't win, they would start a different ad up. Now what we want to do is we want to run a bunch of different angles at once, and we want to be unemotional to the individual ads. We just want Meta to find 1 winner in this mix. So let's say that this ad right here was the winner. And like Meta put all the budget into it. We got great calls, we got great show rates, the cost per acquisition was extremely low. That would be a winner for us, okay? Now, here's what you don't do. You don't get emotional and be like, oh, well, all these other ads that were losers that didn't really get any spend, or maybe they did get spend and they didn't do as well. And you're like, oh, I spent so much time making these ads. Like, why didn't they win? Why didn't they, who gives a shit, dude? Just make more ads. All you do is you just give it a bunch of ads, you find the winner, you let it cook. In the meanwhile, you're making more ads. You don't care about that this video took you 4 minutes to shoot and 11 minutes to edit. And because you're like, oh, I spent time on that video. No, dude, who cares? You found the winner. It absolutely printed you money. And now you can launch a new campaign again. And the best part is when you can learn. So now we found out the winning angle. That's the big thing. We found the winning angle. And so now what we do is we go into our testing phase again, and we saw, so like maybe we saw that, you know, maybe the direct hook worked really well if you're a woman with IBS. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna test more direct angles on the next campaign. So now we might have struggling with IBS. We'll have like a struggling hook. Okay, well, maybe you have a question. Do you have? Or maybe it's reversed. Have you ever? Have you ever been told you have IBS? Okay, so we're going to test different hooks that are more direct because we saw that direct hook that won. Okay, now here's what we're not going to do. Okay, we are not ever going to repeat the same script. We're not ever going to repeat the same script over and over because you want to have diverse messaging. So instead of learning on the script and saying, oh my God, that script works so well, let's just do it over and over and over. Instead of that process, what you wanna do instead is you wanna just look at the angle. What angle worked in this script? And then how can we take that same angle, but then say it in a bunch of different ways? So like I just did here, if you struggle with IBS was the winner. Now I have more. Struggling with IBS? Do you have IBS that's untreated? Have you ever been diagnosed with IBS? Okay, now I have more direct hooks, but I have unique messaging. These are unique messages. I want to be clear in saying that if you have a script that equals a winner, you cannot just repeat that script over and over and over. Okay, that's old advertising. You used to be able to do that, you can't do it anymore. Now what you do is you use the angle and you write more scripts around the angle. Very key difference in that process there. So here's your end outcome is that you want to double down. So you want to find the winners. Okay, maybe you have 3 to 5 angles that just absolutely rip for you, and every one of them have won at some point or another. Well, then you just keep putting these 3 to 5 angles in every campaign that you use, and your probability that at least one of the ads in that campaign is going to do really well for you, it starts to increase. So with this testing phase, you are looking for angles that produce the lowest CAC. And when you find those angles, you repeat the same angles with different hooks so that you can continue to scale the campaigns over time. And then pretty soon, you'll be able to put up a campaign with a very high degree of confidence that it's gonna make you cash. Because the more confident you are through your testing, through your understanding, the more probable you are to make cash because you've already found the winner and you know what the market is likely to respond to. So that, my friends, is the entire game of advertising. It's an honest approach, okay? So the lesson here is this: don't just randomly test a few different videos that have no intention behind them, that have no meaning behind them. Don't run those as an ad, take a loss, and then make that loss permanent for the rest of your life. I can't tell you how many people that I've spoken with over the years that let one bad advertising experience, one bad agency experience ruin the rest of their advertising career. Don't be that person. Become the person who is willing to fail so much that it would be unreasonable that you would succeed in advertising. And I just laid out a process for you to directly follow so that you can ultimately have a solid testing strategy. So you're not going in blind, okay? I'll give you like one example of just like what not to do, just to really kind of like put the nail on the coffin on this one, okay? We have clients that have come to us and they're like, God, I can't get my local ads to hit for my clinic. Okay, no problem, show me what you were running. And then they just have some video of just somebody walking through the office with no voice overlay, no nothing. And it's just like a tour of the office. And the owner's over here like, I thought it was a great ad. It really showed our office. Dude, no one cares about your office besides you, okay? So you have to go to the patient, the problems, circumstances, outcomes they want to achieve, and then write angles and hooks around those messages. And as a result, you'll have a much more disciplined testing process, which will likely create a better result for you and your business. So go and take action. That's the next step when you watch any of the trainings around here, dude. Don't sleep on the action. Go and do it. Go take down some angles. Go figure out some hooks. Go test 10 hooks before the end of the week. I mean, make it really quick. And the faster you move on this, the faster you can get a result for your business, and the faster you'll have a winning collage of angles that you can just pull on all the time that you know are gonna print you money. So if you found this video valuable, make sure you hit subscribe. We are putting out videos like this a couple times a week, just in terms of the best practices for scaling health and wellness businesses with paid advertising. So hit the follow. Now, and if you wanna ever talk deeper with us, as I mentioned, you can always check out the description. We'll leave a couple links down there with some opportunities and different vehicles that we can help you in. So if you ever wanna have a call with us just to get a second perspective and really a vantage point on your own business, on your own advertising, feel free to grab a call. We're happy to chat anytime. Until then, make sure you guys go and execute, and we will certainly look forward to seeing you again in the next training.